And if you heard anything from what the Secretary of Education said during his visit here, it is much bigger than Alleghany County Public Schools. And I think that's the advantage that I've had by my travels with the state and with the American Association of School Administrators. This is an area that's occurring across the country, recommended it from businesses and industry about changing our kids from rote memorization to problem solving and project building, cooperation, collegiality, working together. I think that's the piece that's missing, listening and reading in this area, and that's something we need to keep to the forefront. And the Secretary of Education, even when he spoke to our neighboring districts, said the same information that he told us about where we're heading as a country and as a state.
And we have the SOL Innovation Committee, State of Virginia, and they recommended PBL.
Absolutely.
Across the board.
Yes.
And that's why they're trying to move away from SOL and go to project-based learning.
Absolutely. And again, the New Tech network at the school board, that the committee that Mr. Wright served on when I came here, along with Mr. Persinger, selected the New Tech network as the ways to deliver the project-based learning because of the support that they provided, okay? And I think that's got twisted over time as well. And
I think the whole new tech, the whole idea of new tech and where it came from has gotten twisted since the beginning. I heard teachers last night saying that Covington teachers turned new tech down. That wasn't the case.
Correct.
And I think also that it's just the whole thing is just completely different than what we originally talked about. Unfortunately, and it's kind of like our joint committee meetings. If you don't let people have an option to talk, they all get fired up and mad and stuff. I think you're seeing that with our new tech kids. I think because they don't have a choice to be in new tech. I think we're getting a lot of people are upset about it because they don't have a choice to not be in new tech. And I feel like if they had a choice, more people would like it.
How many people dislike it?
From what I hear, a bunch.
I wouldn't say that.
Our student surveys doesn't say that either. Okay.
I've never seen a student survey.
Yeah,
we had one.
And I do think there is some dissatisfaction to it, and I think as a board, we have to be open to it and not so. Opposed to hearing the negative as well as the good. And there seems to be a lot of conflict and tension if one negative comment is brought up, and it can't be that way. We have to look at the negative as well as the positive if we're going to move it forward.
Absolutely.
And it's going to be successful. And I don't think that when a negative comment is brought up, that it's not viewed as an opportunity. I don't believe it's viewed as an opportunity. I think it's viewed as that board member doesn't want new tech and they're trying to oppose it, or that teacher, or that student, or that parent, and that's not the case. We need to be objective and open and let them share what's not working, or the program in the long run will not be successful. And if we didn't want it and want it to be successful, we wouldn't have voted for it, right? That's how I feel. Yeah. But as with anything else, in any industry, you have to be objective and be fluid and allow for change. Yeah. And we have not, I think, as a board, been very open to the negative aspects of it and been very defensive. And we have to recognize there's opportunities.
Yeah, where is this survey? Why didn't we?
We had the survey. Student survey was shared with you last year. We've done another one that we'll get the data here in the next couple of weeks, and we'll share that one with you as well.
I attended the choir performance this past weekend, and that was all student driven. That was all new tech. It was excellent. I mean, I was so impressed with the students and the way they put it together. Ms. Sprouse was just saying wonderful things about new tech, but that is an elective class. I mean, it's choir. How can we take that and build that enthusiasm in our SOL classes if we're going to keep the new tech program in our SOL classes? I saw a lot of positive this past weekend with the new tech process, but I
agree with Ms. Morgan. It's when you get these, it's taking it to the positive side. It's not saying that I don't want new tech.
Yeah.
It's saying to have the time to be able to investigate, to say, what don't you like about it and what can we do to
How
make
can
it
we make
better?
it better?
Yes.
I mean, I absolutely think it's a great program. I think,
Right.
I mean, I'm in love with the idea of project-based learning. I'm just seeing a lot of people that are not really excited about it, and I know we have to give these things a chance. I understand that 100%. But I think that because some kids don't have a choice, they're not into it.
But students aren't into English either, and they don't have a choice about taking English. It's a philosophy on instructional method. If we look at what people are referring to old school, Mr. Wright, not all kids learn under the old school. Good teachers find ways for kids to learn under any system. It's not about all or nothing. It's about finding out what kids learn the best by. And if we want our students to be the most successful around, then we are going to introduce them to working together as teams, as developing projects, just like the choir is a great example, where they owned that and they did everything. That's what it's all about. It's about teaching that creativity again. And again, good teachers find ways to operate instructionally so their kids learn.
Well,
it's not about a choice for kids. Kids don't choose English, they don't choose math. We as adults, as educators and leaders in the community, tell the kids this is what they need to be successful.
I agree. But if you have a perfect new tech teacher, then that works. If you have a teacher who doesn't buy into the system, they can't teach that system. And that's what I think one of our problems is that we have teachers that are not buying into it because it's not their thing. And you know, it's like you say, kids don't like English. Well, some teachers just don't like teaching that way. And so I think that is being cast upon the students.
It may be. So then, do we change the system, or do we work with staff to make the changes which are best for kids to learn currently?
And that's for teachers to teach.
So they're going to teach through rote memorization, which is what they've been familiar with the last 20 years. And I would say, as an educational leader, that we need to have our kids learn the best possible way that's going to benefit them in the future, which is demonstrated time and time again that it is not through rote memorization, which is what we've been doing the last 20 years.
So I think change is hard. Change takes time. And I agree that we do have to listen to what people have to say,
Yeah.
but they also have to give you facts of why it's not working so you can work on it, not just, I don't like it, I don't want to do it. And I have heard some of that, but when you really ask people what the facts are, you don't get anything. It's just, I don't want to do it. And that can't be an answer for us. To your point, we chose to do it, and we're going to move down the path of that. And I've seen a lot of good things. I think we continue building on that. I think one of the things we are missing is when we did the one-to-one initiative. You know, if you look at what Mr. Allman gets in front of us every month, he shows us positive things that are happening. I don't think we get as much of that from the new tech system. I think we need to start seeing more of that and getting that in front of people so they can see what's going on that are positives. Because maybe if they have a bad experience, they're not seeing the good piece. So if we can get that in front of people, then I think that's going to help us a little bit. But I do agree we've got to listen to people and make sure we don't just write them off. So I don't know how we get to that. Maybe something for us to think about a little bit more, and get the administrative staff to think about more how we get that, get really good facts back so that we can deal with those issues.
Just to wrap I guess this up, you had mentioned it, like the PBL, the new tech, and having that. We do a quarterly report to the foundation, which has, I think, everything that you guys are kind of asking for. And I think you're right that we need to bring that. Yeah, you guys need to hear that. You need to see that. I'm going to get Miss Alma Road up there at the school board meeting. She's the new tech coach, and Mr. Ross and Mr. Connor, who are leading it there, and present.
Students.
Yeah, students too. And we need to share that quarterly report with you guys. It's like one of those, duh. I don't know what I don't know yet. So I'm like, but yeah, because it has such great data in terms of where it started, where it's been, where it is, and where it's going. Everything that you guys are kind of talking about. So yeah, absolutely
great.
Yeah.
There's also a phase of this. The first phase is last year was playing with it and trying to understand it, okay? This year, the projects now are becoming more student-oriented, which is where they should be. The final piece is next year when they start, or hopefully second semester, is where they started working with community groups. And that piece is missing, but that's part of the growth process. The best way, the 4 or 5 students that spoke to the secretary the other day said exactly this to him. You know, when they first started, they weren't so sure, but now they're starting to work with their teachers and help design the projects at the same time. And you know, we see project-based learning on a regular basis in most of our CTE classes, and so now it's changing to involve our academic classes as well. And as far as probably the hardest thing that I hear from staff is the collaborated classes. Okay, I cannot make Mr. Tucker and I work together if we don't really like each other. We're both good teachers. I've got to find somebody that I can pair with, and that's part of the growth process. And we had 2 great teachers last year. Individually, you couldn't get any better teachers. They decided to work together. It did not work out for them. Okay, and that's what they've got to find out is, can they work together, and how do they bring that together? It cannot be a forced thing, and so we chose not to force it, to allow that to grow naturally over a period of time.
So what did those teachers do this year?
Separated.
And they work with other people?
We have one actually left the system, okay, and but not only left because of that, but also we're not competitive with Covington when it comes to some salaries, and that's the bottom line. So with those 2 things in mind, but they're both great teachers, I mean, individually. But you got to find the right person to work with on there and how you're going to work together as a team.